We're live.
Hey guys.
Oh.
Oh.
Hey everybody. Welcome. Just wanted to say a disclosure. Before I get started, my little one is not feeling good, so you may see me kind of cut off real quick just if I have to check in, because the baby's more important than anything in the world. So
obviously.
But besides that, thank you once again for everybody chiming in now in the future, doing what you do. Thank you so much for viewing. Ty, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. Welcome all new viewers and subscribers, and welcome back to our faithful viewers and subscribers. You know the regular routine. If you are not part of our Facebook group, which I would like to give a shout out to Donna Limmer, my friend, who has definitely given us some new people in our group, our Facebook group, Unfiltered and Intentional. You can just go there, or AKA Mothers Unfiltered, type that in. We will accept you, where we have some great discussion, which actually prompted tonight's show. And then if you're not, if you have not seen us on YouTube yet, please go over to YouTube and like, subscribe, and share. Help us grow, continue to support us. That helps us do what we do for you. And we love you guys. Thank you.
Yes. Again, thank you for chiming in. And if you didn't hear, I will be off because I have a little one that's sick. But I was not going to do anything. The topic that we're going to talk about now is about what's these current events that's been happening. There's Kevin Samuels is a big topic, some swim caps, some voting rights, Orlando Post nightclub. I wasn't going to really talk about those topics, but people were texting me and calling me, and just, I guess they said, hey, we want it our way, and so you guys have it.
Give the people what they want.
Listen, later, current, now and then, so it's all good. But I wanted to touch upon, before we start getting into the juicy topic that everybody really wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Orlando Post nightclub, hashtag Remember the 49. Yesterday was the 5-year memorial service that they had down here in Orlando, Florida, remembering the 49 victims that lost their lives to a heinous act of hate, regardless if you believe in the LGBT love thing, and gay relationships or not. No one should die because you disagree with their sexual preference or who they associate with. So I definitely want to show so much love to that community. I love you, support you, rock with you. If you represent New York, LES all the way. But no, I definitely wanted to put that out there before we moved on to other topics. So it was right up the street from where I would say about a good 15, 20 minutes from where I was. So I was definitely a day I wouldn't forget. So thank you out there. I'm so sorry for those families. So moving from that, I wanted to put something out there on the Facebook page. And I wanted to hear your thoughts, because there was a podcaster. He's also YouTube personality, Kevin Samuels. And he basically, I put stay in your place, because he basically he has a viewpoint on how we should be in our roles, gender roles. A woman belongs behind her man, supporting, in a support role. He said a couple of other things, and I just wanted to hear what everybody had to say. When I put the post on Facebook, it was like fire. People were going off at each other, at the posts, making accusations, claiming people were real when they really wasn't. There was this one guy, it was like black women. I'm like, when you start off the conversation talking about black women, I'm like, oh,
yeah, just
not gonna go well.
But before I get into my feelings, because a lot of people want to know what I had to say, I want to ask everybody else. So we can start with Ty, Specs, and then Liz, and then I'll go last. How did you feel?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, you're gonna go after Ty in reference to how you feel about the comments that he made. Go ahead, Ty.
Okay. So obviously in the Facebook group of ours, I was the first one to comment. And you know, I called him an asshole, and I'm sticking to that story. However, I would also like to add this. I did listen to a couple of his other shows that he had. He does have some valid points. He is very aggressive in the way he makes those points, very negating to Black women. I also,
we're not filtered with it. We're not typing nothing.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts, because really when I think about him and I think about the language he uses and the way he comes across, I want to spat in his right eye, kick him in his throat, and punch him in his nose. You know, but I also have to remember that he's talking about high valued men, which I'm not fully sure. You know, I know he always, not always, but he references like over like 80,000 a year as a high valued man. And then these are also women that are calling in to the show to be personally rated on why they can't get a high valued man. So I kind of have to take myself out of it, because I'm not one of those women that's calling in to be rated. But again, he does have valid points, but he is an asshole. I think he's kind of barbaric in the way that he thinks, as far as women need to. And one of the people in the Facebook group, I believe he was like, his advice is for women to shut the fuck up, stay in their place, in something else. So obviously, with me being more of an alpha female, if y'all know me, I'm not shutting the fuck up and I'm not staying in my place. I think he has something against Black women. I really do.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Specs. We want to hear from the male's perspective. Go ahead.
I'm not well versed. I've seen some of his podcasts. Okay, so is he wrong? No, but his delivery, he is an asshole, but he's entertaining. So because we're talking about him, that's what, you know, he's entertainment. He's like a Howard Stern. So that's his angle. But the thing is, he's not wrong. So when you try to go against, so when you can attack the asshole part of it. It's just the facts are the facts. So it's like, oh. So I like him because he's funny, but he's an asshole. But you watch it for his assholiness. But is he wrong? No. Like he can go into other detail about like Black women and like the 60s and how white women attached their movement to Black women and made Black men white. You know, there's a whole thing he didn't go into, but he's generally right. Like what I want him to be wrong, and I was going through what he was saying. I was like, no, you're right. He's definitely 100%. He's just an asshole about it.
We're taking turns, Ty. So you keep going.
He's gonna break Ty. He's gonna break her.
We're taking turns. So thank you, Specs, for that perspective.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Liz.
Oh boy, here I go. I commented on the Facebook page and I said, at this rate, I am never going to win this popularity. I am not. I'm aware. I'm prepared for everybody to pile on. I get it. Is the guy an asshole? He is. But like Specs said, he's not wrong though. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, I remember going to church as a little girl, and everybody would say, well, the pastor's the worst of them. It's not about the messenger, it's about the message. And at the end of the day, we get really tight, everybody. We did a show a couple months ago about cancel culture and everything else, right? The moment somebody says something you don't like or you disagree with, you retreat to defense mode. You stop listening. And if you stop listening, you stop sharpening your blade to have your argument. When I say that he's not wrong, I know that Kia would stay in your place as the tagline from that video. And then behind her husband. And I'm sorry, but I kind of agree with that. Now, that said, I don't think that women are sub or beneath. I've just never seen a horse stand on two legs, which tells me their back legs are just as important as their front legs, and that two legs have to be behind and two legs have to be in front in order for that horse to stand up. And that's anything and everything in life. So I don't think one's more important than the other, but I do think we have a place. And I expect my husband to stay in his place and play his part. And I expect to stay in my place and play my part. And I don't mean it in a diminishing way, in a demeaning way. I mean it as a fact.
Okay.
Don't break time.
I'm not
So before I get to my few, Ty, can you get those comments real quick before I get to my little?
Absolutely. Is it bringing it up? So we have Cash Money. Hey, everyone, looking forward to the show. Humble Lion. Hey, what's up, fam? Jasmine, what's a woman's place? I don't realize we were back in the 1900s. Ed Valentine, my dad, love you, Dad. I've listened to him, and he is just saying there's a lot of women who want more than they deserve, according to age and background and what you're looking for. And Humble Lion again, overly sensitive people think everything is an argument.
Okay.
Okay. Now
that we went around the little round table, and it came back to me. You're absolutely right, Specs, when it comes to the shock factor. You know, he's saying things that is like, wow, did you actually come out on air, regardless if it's on an interview, he's being interviewed, or he has his own show, and says things like, wow, that's completely disrespectful. Right now, to be honest, we could run across somebody and they'd be like, man, I'm fly. I'm the baddest bitch. There's so many women out there that will say that. And we'll look in the back of their head like, oh, okay. Now, granted, we all love the personalities. We all love people's souls. But if we're talking about just on a superficial, level, when a person says she the baddest bitch, we're like, oh, okay. If you don't got something nice to say, don't say it at all. But then there are individuals like him who will just come out like, hey, don't rate yourself no 7, bring it down a notch. So for that part there, I do understand to get the people clicking and get the looks and the views up to the show.
Yeah.
He had said that he wanted to give out advice to African-American women, and just women in general. So yes, on one factor, like my uncle stated, that for women who call into the show trying to look for these 6-figure guys and this, yes, he'll answer those questions. But then there are times where he's not just answering questions because women are trying to say, hey, I'm going to look for a guy that make money. He was on an interview just recently, and he was talking about Shanti. Her name is Shanti Swanti. Forgot. She's like an R&B rap singer or whatever. If I play the song, you guys would know it. But she's an entertainer, and he was rating the one that just got finished breaking up with who's Cardi B's husband? What's the
I don't. Okay, I know who you're talking about.
People, we over here trying to figure.
Isn't it Saweetie?
Yeah, Sweetie. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the girl that he was talking about, and he was basically saying like she was a 6. She's not the baddest bitch. Blah blah blah. So he just goes around just in general, just rating women and just talking about certain things, or do they deserve, to be bought a Bentley, and she's not all that, whatever. If you're actually in the business of giving advice and wanting to help women, because there's some women that come onto the show that are a hot mess. But at the same time, are we really trying to give advice, or are we just trying to play jokes? You can kill more flies with honey than vinegar. So for this show, for instance, we do say some things that are kind of like, whoa, did they say that or whatever? But at the same time, the premise of the show is always to inform and to be helpful. Now, I'm not trying to remake his show over, but at the same time, if you're truly wanting to give advice to women and to help them do what they got to do, are we here to belittle? I also think that words are very, very important. Since words are very, very important, you have to be mindful of what you say. The average African American woman has witnessed domestic violence and has been a part of domestic violence, and they're a survivor in some sort. They have the PTSD from that. When a woman that has suffered that and hears "stay in your place," when she hears you have a role, it gives some type of triggering, PTSD fashion. So I'm going to already be defensive when you come at me saying, be submissive, be this, be this. But guess what? Because my batterer, the abuser, the guy, the father, whoever, the uncle, whatever, the lover, he used to say these same things. You need to stay in your place. Only if you made the bacon, only if you did it like this. If you just played your role, then you wouldn't get beat on. So I know there's a lot of traumas that women deal with anyway. So when you come to us and you approach us in a certain manner and say certain words, it can definitely be very, very defensive. When he was saying that, stay in your place, I know I took it like, well, what the fuck does that mean? I understand everybody plays a role. My kids are not going to pay the bills. They're not going to make breakfast in the morning and go to work and this and this. They're going to be kids. Kids need to stay in the child's place. But at the same time, kids still get privy and are witness to adult situations. If you've seen the video, she was like, yeah, as a kid, I seen this and I seen this. He's like, hey, but you have nothing to do with that. Yes, you do. Because you were bearing witness to abuse that your grandparents and your parents were actually doing. Go ahead.
He did. No. What happened was he was saying how his mother, her mother and grandmother she didn't witness it because she saw them being good men. What she was privy to was the information she should have known. That's what he was talking about. Not witnessing anything,
right,
but being privy to information, which I've seen and heard. Because a lot of times I didn't have a car. So if you catch the bus in any city and chill out and listen, you've heard certain mothers say to their sons and daughters, "Your father ain't shit."
Every day.
Yeah,
right.
That is, and I don't care what he does, that is more powerful than him going to work and doing all that. So that's what he's saying. He wasn't saying that you saw this now, because that's a different subject. You witnessing something, and then your parent, the person that loves and protects you, says the other person ain't shit.
But
which is a thing with our community. Hey, that's a thing.
Women will put their husbands and their men and their boyfriends down, but at the same time, being a witness,
but not to the kids. But no. But we're not talking about that's a different subject. He didn't say that. He said they brought you into this.
What I was going to say is being a witness to something doesn't actually have to be that you physically seen something. You could be a witness to something because your parents are saying. You could be a secondhand information and you're still witnessing.
But that's not what he said, right? So I don't want to conflate the two because he didn't say that. That's a different subject. I'm saying what he said was they brought you into this. So that's a whole different thing. But I don't want to conflate that with what he said because it's not what he said. What happened was the parents told the daughter. This is because she said, I saw this. She said, I saw them going to work, being good men.
Okay.
My mother and grandmother said this. So witnessing something is not the same as your parent telling you they did this. This is something I don't like about them. So so I won't conflate the two. One different subject and something that he did say and he did comment on and she did. So that's what I'm saying is, as a parent, which is a thing with us, we need to address is you never in parenting classes, like if you ever have a divorce, in Maryland, they used to make you go through parenting classes. And one thing parents do is bring their kids into their breakup and say, hey, your father ain't this because blah, 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 or your mother ain't this. And that's a thing. So when you do that, you do scar your kids. So now when you're doing that, that's like beating your child or your child seeing your mother get hit.
So before you say what you're about to say, I've seen some comments come in. We have to touch upon.
Can you put them up?
Okay, go ahead.
Can you put the comment?
Oh, okay. I'll put the comment, and I'm
you
so sorry.
let me read.
Yeah. So Cash Money says, as a society, we are struggling with the idea of gender roles and if they should exist. Target said they were removing gender-based labels and signs from their stores.
No.
It's interesting because that is something that's really big now, in reference to the whole gender roles and what a person should do. But once again, I thought that young female that he was talking to, she didn't have the gift of gab. A lot of times when you see these people that can outtalk you, they never run into people that can outtalk them back and go right back and forth with them. Because if I was a young lady, I would have said to him that a lot of things that we face, and because he made the statement about, who made the apartments, who made the construction, who did this, society as a whole was the one who would put women in the back seat and say, hey, you can't get those jobs.
Right.
Just in the last, 5 years, I may be inaccurate, a year or two off, women can actually play infantry in the military. If you want to be in that role, if you can hold your own, then by all means do it. The average woman does go into a human services degree field because it's a more easier one, it's quicker to get in. But women were also put to the side when they try to do the tech jobs and try to do hard labor. There are women out there ready to do it. So, I mean, he didn't put that in his message when he was talking about, hey, and how come men are doing this, and what about you, and what about you? He's talking about a communications degree. I have a communications degree. Communications degree can get you lots of places. It's very versatile. It can fit right with the business structure. It all depends on what you're wanting to do. But let's go to the next. Okay. All right. We hear a lot about how bad men are, but nobody wants to talk about toxic women. Remember, these women are raising these men. Go ahead, Liz.
I mean, that ties into what Specs is trying to say, and the point that Samuel was making too on his show, right? And so we have for both men and women, right? So you have a lot of women that are raising men, and it's exactly what Humble Lion said. If you're a toxic person, the only fruit you can bear is going to be toxic. That's a fact, right? Furthermore, hurt people hurt people. You know what I mean? So you're mad because, baby daddy didn't give you child support, or because your marriage didn't work out, and this and the third, and you are saddled down with a child, making life that much more difficult, which is why I will never say that, we are less than a man. A man can drop his seat off and keep it moving. We got to deal with it. You know what I mean? So there's nothing sub about it, but it is the role that we play, right? Very seldom do you find that the woman walked away and left the children and it's men that are raising them. Most of the time, the man is raising a child is because the mother died. That's almost always how that works in human nature, right?
I'm sorry. Can I also add to that what he was also stating is he said when people get married, it's for sickness, health, for better or for worse. And regardless of what happens, if the men are cheating or whatever they're doing, most of the time it's always the women who leave the men, putting the blame back on the women as if we are the issue.
Yeah, but then he also cited the statistics, which I had heard before, and I didn't look them up myself. But my understanding is that women are more likely to cheat on men than men are to cheat on women. The thing is, we're sneakier, right? I mean, and I'm just putting it out there. So with that said, it's just a matter of, right? And you know what? I'd go another step further than that, right? Even if a woman comes home and says to her husband, you know what? I did this. He might be upset. He might hold it against you. He might get even. He does not leave. If a man comes home to a woman, he's like, yo, I did this. She's like, yo, get the fuck out. Like, that's how that goes, right? A man, typically speaking, doesn't leave a marriage. I mean, at least the men I've seen, I have seen many a man cry over their marriage falling apart. It's funny. I've seen more women on the whole, yo, he needs to go, and I'm moving on. And what Badu said, call Tyrone, right? And that's kind of how that is the structure that we follow.
But once again, we're talking about, and I know we talked about, you just mentioned about cancel culture, the culture that we have all been brought up in, which is changing now. Cash had mentioned it, is that women put up with shit. Women, especially Black women, we're strong, we're tough cookies, we put up with shit. We actually can sit here, all the ladies here on the panel and the one gentleman on the panel, and we know of relationships where they're together, but the man undid this woman dirty and she's putting up with it. I'm not saying that the woman has never went back and said, hey, I'm going to get some type of, payback. But these women will put up with so much shit. And then when you see a woman now have rap songs and different things and talk about, I'm going to sell my body and get some money and I need a 6-figure nigga to take care of me and this and this. I mean, this is just another way, I guess, of their empowerment, I'm assuming. Because at the end of the day, and we put up with it. I mean, this has just been the culture for such a long, long time. Women playing.
How is it empowering to say, I need a man to take care of me?
No.
Or I'm looking for a certain type of man to take care of me?
Well, go ahead.
I think that's like what, again, the way he articulates those points may not be the best way for people to receive it. But again, it does make sense. How is that empowering? How does that make us as women, especially women of color, look? Speaking to the point you made earlier, Liz, Black men, the men that I've known that have been in, relationships with a lot of turbulence, even if the man left temporarily, they always went back to their wives. Mm-hmm. Always. Those men have very rarely ever stayed with the partner that they stepped out of their marriage with. They always went back to their wives. So again, he has some very valid points. I just
think it's the way we're raised. I mean, for instance, we're all of us are from New York in some borough, state, or fashion, and we are raised a little bit with a stronger backbone. And it's really interesting because Cash, my husband, me and him would get an argument about in reference to, let's just say, a fight breaks out. Because when the man was talking about when Kevin was talking about how when a fight breaks out, are you going to stand behind? When a robber coming in, you going to stand behind? It's funny because I was like, literally, the only way I'm going in the back line is if the kids are in the back. If the kids are not in the back, I'm shooting a fair one with you. Now, me and him will always go back and forth because he's like, wait a second. I don't want you right next to me because now I got to worry about you and the man, hitting you or whatever. But I cannot help it that the streets that raised me put this mindset in I just know that we ride for our men. You know what I'm saying? And if the kids are not there, we're going to be there. Now, I have played the role in reference to just, going backwards. If there's an argument or confrontation, it's hard because just the way I was brought up, you fighting with your people. And I think in our relationship, especially in a Black relationship, we don't just look at our partners as, oh, that's my husband, that's it. Oh, that's my name. You know what I'm saying? That's my G right there. We going for blow to blow. I understand we have a role, but okay, comments.
Because we have a lot of them coming in. We love you guys. Listen, I see some people in here. If you're in here, please make sure you like. Always make sure you like. Daddy
says you need to watch the Facebook show Gold Digger. Women can be very disrespectful when they think they are all that. That is true.
And that is true.
Women can be reckless, and I'm going to put it out there. They could be very toxic as hell, just like men. There's no, I don't want to have a show that's men bashing. There are some ratchet women, and I just be sitting there looking especially when a girl like I'm a baddie and they had the nails like this long and the lashes hit it. I'll be like, huh? It's not my generation. I know I'm not, but
okay. Yeah, I don't understand it either, Kia.
Yeah, okay. Be a baddie. That's right. Humble Lion. Black women are the only nationality that puts their men down publicly. No other race women do that.
Ooh.
Would you say I think Spanish women do too, to a degree. No.
I'm trying to think. Like, hold up.
No. Now at home, dishes fly and
right.
But you out at the mall talking about nigga, you ain't shit. That's not a thing. No.
It's not. And again, you want to look at some of these comments and you want to disagree and you want to take it personally, right? But we have to think about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is we do. as Black women, we do. Again, I mean that.
I pull back that layer of that onion on the layer, and I see the levels. Like when you see when Liz just said that, you know, you go to the mall and you see a woman curse out that Black man and say, "Oh, you ain't shit." Da, 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 da. To me, it's more than that. Where did she get that from? Who was her mama? What did that mama go through? It's like a learned behavior type of thing. The mama was disrespect. This was this, this. And a lot of times what I've noticed is that when women, all they have to fight is their mouth. A lot of women will get their ass beat. When I mean rocked, they getting their ass rocked. And the only thing that they have is their mouth. Now, granted, a woman can tear down a man real quick with her mouthpiece. Don't do nothing, don't say nothing, and she could belittle him, and he had to go out and find a whole new ego. My mother told me, she said, if you tear down a man real quick, yeah. The ego's gone, that man's nothing. What was you gonna say, Spec?
Oh no, I was gonna I'm not trying to get into like the whole history of like the 60s and the women's movement. I mean what was it? The women's right movement.
Oh, okay.
When white women try to get equal rights and then pull Black women into that, a lot of that is because it's generational, and it was playing how it's playing out now, but it was a long time coming. So a lot of that disrespect comes from, and you say in households, but households in the like before the 60s was like we were all family, and then with the women's right movement. So what happened was you had that movement. So white women are saying to white men, we need to be equal. So they got Black women saying like, you know, like men are just bad, men like are holding us down. Black men wasn't holding anybody down, but they got that pull from Black women. Now you know, put a pin in that. So in the 50s and 60s, when they built the welfare system, it was built for poor whites. It wasn't built for Blacks, poor whites. So when some poor Blacks start getting on these programs, they actually went to your house and said, you can get this subsidy, but you can't have a man in it.
Right.
And
true.
These women had to make a decision: my kids or my man. So we're all poor, but your man can't stay here. So systematically, they took the men out. So women are struggling, they by themselves, and they can't have the men in there. So the kids don't see the man or occasionally see him. He wants to be a part of it, but you're poor and you can't be in that household, or mommy and your kids are on the street. So systematically, this has been a thing. So now you got mothers, younger mothers, because mothers are raised. So now you're a grandmother at like 20 something, 30. So this systematically, this is going on. This is doing this. So now you see this with women, and it's easy to attack them and be like, you ain't nothing because you know you say it's about your son and your daughter and all this, but systematically this has been done to us, and that's why we are where we are.
I think there's a lot of hate amongst Black women in regard, not just talking about, you know, us per se, I hate you, you hate me, but in reference to just how we interact. I think that we are used to seeing abuse, being around it, not being educated through it, having PTSD from families and just different things. And we don't know how to be in a true type of relationship. Go ahead.
I mean, I go back to what you just said last, right? When you're at the mall or wherever you are and you see a woman belittling a man, you know, the first thing you say is, but you don't understand that, you know, maybe that's where she came from, or the trauma or the history there, right? Mm-hmm. When I heard that Samuels dude talking to her, that was my exact thought. I'm like, yo, his mother, he must have seen some things in his mother. But it's so funny because let a man speak to or about a woman a certain way, and he ain't shit, right? He's an asshole, he's this and a third. When a woman does it, you don't go, she's an asshole. You say, you know, she's been through some things, or you don't know what it's like to be a woman. It's very strange. I feel like we're either going to take that position or we're not, right? If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. You need to correct your behavior and be a better person so that the next generation can be better.
I think you could be both. I think you'd be an asshole and been suffering from trauma at the same time. You could be both.
But we're adults, though. So we can, in fact, choose to correct that behavior and be better. We can, right? Whether it's through counseling or just making better decisions.
But some people are so used to what they do, they don't even know how to change or what to do or should I change or whatever. And it's so interesting because I used to, like I said, growing up, I'm used to always hearing a woman talk bad about men, Black men, just do. And at one point, I didn't care for Black men at all. I was never going to marry one, sleep with one. Oh my God, anti Black men. Because I was abused by a Black man. sexually assaults, all types of things. This is from like a little age, coming up. So everything I've ever learned was anti-Black. And I remember living in Washington Heights in New York, and all I was around was Spanish men. So that was what I was attracted to, because Black guys were just always they were just so messy. Like, I just can't. And having this history. So going into that, the first time I ever seen, well, wait a second, it was some educated brother. Wait a second. My mother took me to the mosque, the Nation of Islam. And I seen that these Black men were just not your stereotypical, Black men. And I'm like, wait a second, they're not beating on women. They're not this. Now, of course, I'm still a young person at this time, not knowing that things could go behind closed doors. But it's so funny how I can see the path that I've grown. I'm married for a long time now to a Black man. I've dated Black men before. I love my Black husband. But I remember my baby father. When I used to argue and fight with my baby father, he would say, do not treat me as if I'm a dude in the street. I'm not a dude in the street. Don't come at me like I'm a dude in the street. And I didn't understand that. All I knew was violence. All I knew, like, if it wasn't that type of relationship, you know how you see like the baby boy and you throwing something and and you come back over here. I hate you, Jody.
It's not real love.
I hate you. I love you.
That type of relationship, I didn't know this was a toxic relationship. And when I met my husband was like, we're not doing that at all. No, you're gonna have to make a line right now. I'm not gonna have that type of relationship. And I was like, well, wait a second. And at that time, I hated using the word stay in a woman's place. But I had to say, well, wait a second. I'm not coming into this relationship acting like a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like talking to him like, yo, son, and you want to talk to a girl like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was really interesting. Okay.
I can say this, and I don't want to, put my business out there because my parents do watch the show. Love you guys. Obviously within my household growing up, it wasn't all, cotton candy and roses and happy times all the time. But I can say my mother, regardless of what happened, my mother never, ever downed my dad. And she would never allow us to even think or speak a word against our father. On the other hand, my dad has always been very open and honest with us, regardless if it was good, bad, or ugly. We were able to have open, age-appropriate conversations. I don't remember them arguing out in the streets. There wasn't domestic violence within my home. So I did grow up in a home where it was like, you respect the Black man. My dad hustled his ass off. When we didn't have, he made sure we had. When he brought money in the house, you didn't ask where it came from. That was our woman's place. You don't ask where that money came from. You just know that man went out there and brought home money so those bills could get paid and food could get put in the house.
Not in this household. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. I knew everybody's business, what they was doing, how many times they was in the street. And it's funny because looking back on it, you don't do the same way to your kids. You learn, you learn better. And I know that my grandmother was very, very open with her kids. They would argue in front of the kids and this, and all the business was out there. How much somebody had in their bank account, what you was doing, you was sleazeball, you're this. So I'll just put it on learned behavior. But now I'm a kid and I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, my daddy doing this, he's doing this. And, this is when I'm a kid. So, yes, I really do think this has to do with a generational thing as well. Yeah. But we can go to the comments. My uncle says, yeah, you can out-talk, but that don't make it right. Very true.
And that's something that I said in the comments in the Facebook group.
That's cute. You might want to read that out loud.
But what you couldn't really get his message with that particular show because he just kept yapping and yapping. He would ask a question and then not allow her to fully answer.
He's very disrespectful in that manner. Yes.
Yeah.
So Cass says Black men don't cheat, especially I want to say maybe 2 years ago, right before COVID, maybe the year before COVID, there was this whole little push for saying Black men don't cheat. And it's interesting because I'm naming names to Cash, like, oh, what about this black guy? What about this one? You heard about this one, this one. And he's like, they're not men. Black men don't cheat. And I'm like, oh.
So then we're
Okay.
separating. So we are
The
separating
boys from the men. I'm with that. I get
I
that.
get it. It's again, and
That was a deep one for me. So when he said that, because literally we can sit and think of people we know who may have cheated, right? And in variations of their age groups. So you have the young ones, the middle-aged ones, the older ones. But my husband will be claim to fame. He was like, I'm talking about men. And he'll keep it less like that. I'm like, oh,
Done.
well, let me stay in my place. I won't say nothing then.
Okay.
Linda says, I feel we need to talk about sexism in order to discuss domestic violence, workplace roles, family roles, and the roles played in society. Very, very true, Linda.
Hey,
Sexism does exist. And unfortunately, just recently, and I wish I pulled it up, but I knew Congress pushed something back when they was talking about equal rights for women. I forgot what legislation went through, but it was something that they was trying to push so that it could be, a flat thing. So all jobs would have to pay, women and men the same pay rate, and they denied that. And I'm just like, why in the world if me and you have the same equal skill set, why do you get paid more than me?
Because it's a body of men that are passing the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Done.
Don't go
Explain.
there. That's a whole and they make decisions about your body and then I'm like, oh
Right.
God. No, but that's an absolute fact. We have to talk about sexism in order to discuss these other things. Thank you.
Daddy.
Yes. Life is tough and we all have problems, but I am very much of age. Women are more aggressive towards men than men towards women.
I don't know about that.
I would say verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like a whole bunch of this.
I run my mouth. Listen, and Dad, you did it. You raised me. And it's funny, I have to say this because, my sister and I, would have our little men friends, our little boyfriends, and he would have to say, I apologize. My dad would literally have to apologize to the men because my dad pretty much raised us like, I don't want to say like men, but to be very open, to say what we have to say, no filter, no care in the world. And even till this day, at the age where I'm at now, I'm still learning that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Yes. And that means a lot.
Rocky says, bye, Cash. He was talking about black men don't cheat. But once again,
separating the boys from the men.
I don't know. All right. Alistair says, why do women keep calling into his show? Why would
another topic
posted for millions to view? It damaging to our women in the culture. It is. And the reason why I'm going to agree with that is because I took that clip and put it on Facebook, but from somebody else's page. And I didn't make a comment, but I definitely like to do my investigation. And when I did my investigation, I looked on this individual's page just to see what else is he posting, because I like to see how people paint a picture about who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's a one-off or somebody's like a jokester. Well, let's see who this individual is. And majority of the things that he had on his page was bashing Black women. And he's sick and tired of it. Men are not taking this shit anymore. We're tired of this and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't mean to shout you out. Thank you for being a part of the Unfiltered crew. But at the same time, I would love to have you on the show if you're listening, because you had a lot to say about Black women. I'm like,
The crazy thing about it is there is a lot of Black men that think that way. Again, we had that one clip that you put up there, Kia, that started this whole woo-ha of where we're at today, right? And we're focused on that one clip. But I went on, like I said, and I watched a couple of different shows. And like one show he had was, is your weight keeping you single?
no. happily married. Now,
remember,
can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
We are talking about a man who is discussing high valued men.
Which is sorry.
And again, his advice was pretty much not the advice, but his thing was high valued men don't want big women. They don't put rings on big women's fingers. They put them on thinner women's fingers who are more athletic, and that's why you might see them go to a Becky that's doing Pilates and yoga. So again, I would like to suggest that if you have not viewed the rest of his shows, that you actually view them.
I would love to be on his show. 1 second. So Allison said, why do women keep calling into his show? I wouldn't just deliberately call into his show because there's nothing that he could teach me that I feel like I need to know. I understand how to, regardless if it's a man, woman, if you represent the queer gender, whatever you into, back to the unicorns again, I know how to conduct myself appropriately based on who I'm talking to. If it's a time to be street, it's a time to be street. If it's a time to be, politically correct and have the correct vernacular, I know how to. So whatever it is, I can flip like a billion. But I would love to talk to him because I do not fit that protocol that he says. Can a woman marry a high valued man?
No. Not can a woman marry. Will she be able to catch a high value man?
Yes, she can.
And will he put that ring on her? Again,
multiple rings. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
There's so many different topics. And then, to speak to Alistair, like, why do women keep calling into the show? Again, they know that when they're calling in, they are purposely calling in to be rated by him. He rated Beyonce as a 7. He rated Beyonce as a 7. Again, you have to watch his show. And then I have to ask on the other side for the women, which is a totally different topic, do they have low self-esteem? Do they have PTSD from broken relationships? One of the callers for that particular show was 23 years old and was a virgin because she had been overweight all her life. And then she got the lap band surgery. And then he said even that was like a false representation for the man. So again, we have to look at the mental and emotional health of what these women are really looking for when they're calling in to be insulted and bashed and negated by Mr. Kevin Samuels.
Go ahead, Liz. I'm so curious. Thanks. After Liz, go ahead.
So, here's the thing. I know Ty keeps saying you have to watch the show. I'm going to say you don't have to watch the show at all. He will not get a view from me unless you directly send me the clip and say, this is what we're going to talk about on Sunday. He's not worthy of my time, right? And I know Alistair said, why do they keep calling into the show? Why do they keep watching the show? I'd be willing to bet, and I would love to see the stats on it. I'd be willing to bet his audience is all Black women who tune in to watch him berate and belittle Black women. Like, the fuck is that about? And usually I'm a little better than that. Like, I try to, keep myself together here. Sure. But let's be for real. How is that any different than a woman in an abusive relationship continuing to go back, right? We've talked about that before. It's a cycle that we all find ourselves in, right? Again, I'm not for cancel culture, but if you guys remember that when we aired it back then, I don't believe in this mass uprising to get somebody canceled. What I believe is that you won't see me. You won't get my dollars. You won't get my clicks. You won't get my views. And if enough of us did that individually, he'd get the message. And everybody that thinks like him would too. Because how come men like that don't get women like us? We haven't got time. I don't have time for them. So I wouldn't even know who he was. I swear to you. Yeah. If it wasn't for the 1 or 2 clips that has been sent directly to me, I wouldn't know who he was. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to watch any of his episodes based on just the gist I've gotten. Do I agree with what he said in this particular clip? Yes. Do I like his delivery? No. Should anybody talk to any women that way? Hell no. Right? And with that said, you'll get no support from me. I'm not going to watch him. I'm not going to encourage anybody else to either.
Yeah. That's facts.
I got a point. I'm sorry. I really did. I was like, this okay. All right, so I did have 2 points. One was the high value man. So here's the thing: if a man makes a certain amount of money and he knows a woman that's looking at him is looking at his pockets and not at him, then yeah, he could be superficial because so is she. So be Beyonce. You know, you cannot. Once you show a man that you about his pockets, and then you might be about him, then he's gonna look at you like, okay, so you better come here like this. You know, 6-pack, all this. Why not? So look at him as a person. That's different. But like when your first thing is how much you make and what you do and all, then yeah, men aren't stupid. So they're like, okay, she's looking for money. Okay, all right, then I need to be looking at this then because I don't see a relationship. I get that. So and that makes perfect sense. High value women, really high value women, look at men for men, who you are, not how much money you making. Because if that's one of your first questions, a man is already shaped. He saw you. He was like, oh, okay, there you go. So that man is looking at you as a piece of meat because he's just a dollar sign. So it goes both ways.
I mean, I also feel
now, let me finish. So now you're talking about why women call fame, pseudo fame. A lot of people want to be famous, and at this time, you could be YouTube famous. So people do worse stuff to talk to him on YouTube to be famous. So talk to him is that bad. You've seen video clips of people doing some crazy ass stuff just to be famous. So women are like, they berate themselves, and I've seen that clip a few times. You've seen it a few times. It's probably like 100,000 views or something like that. Now she's pseudo famous. She can go to the store and people are like, I saw you on YouTube. So that's what they do it. It's real simple. I want to be famous.
She sounded like something with cholesterol.
She told her friend who wasn't on camera that she sounded
that was her friend that was wasn't on camera. That was she was overweight.
But yeah.
At the end of the day, it's interesting because, you know, if you look at a Kim Kardashian and she became famous off of sucking off Ray J, and now from there she just, you know, built up a ladder and it had networking skills. You know, how many people do we know? How many Black women we know who sucked off a dude and they still poor? You know, and you sit and you wonder, like, hey, I need my man who's gonna make this. How can I find a dude like Kim Kardashian? You know, you have to run in certain circles.
They ain't sucking off obviously.
But to Specs' point, right? Why do we look at Kim Kardashian as a high value woman? Because she has a big bank account. I don't see her as a high value woman at all. I see her as a prostitute. What she got famous off of is sex acts and selling her body. Like how is that any different than any prostitute? So I refuse to see her as a role model of any kind. I give a shit how many billions she has. Like that's a pure fact, right? I also refuse to see a man as a high value man because of the high dollars in his bank account. I take a prince and turn him into a pauper any day because you know what? That's my place as a woman to shape the man that I want out there representing me. Right. So and again, that goes back to the beginning of this whole conversation, right? I have no problem being the strong woman behind the great man. I'm not telling you that you have to be weak to be behind the man, right? I'm saying that if you're worth your weight in salt, then you can make something out of a situation. And Pia said, we've been going through things our whole lives. I think everybody on this panel has experienced some level of poverty. You're talking to somebody that can make orangeade out of orange juice because it's running low and we can't get the next orange juice. You know what I mean?
With potatoes, I could tell you that.
I can tell you that, right? So to me, a high value man is a man that's going to be a father, that's going to be there every day. Those are the things, and I need you to be a father, not mother and father, and I don't want to be mother and father.
That's the thing, and I think Allison mentioned it. You know, when you unfortunately, because these women are on social media, especially if you're a woman just tuning in, you don't know what you're looking at. What's this? You know, you don't want those individuals representing us. You know, because I totally agree with Liz. A high value man is not about what the money he makes. I feel that let's just say you met the man and he was making $40,000 a year, with the support, with the education, with the love, with this and this and this, he could put his mind to anything and become whatever he wants to be, you know, and you will literally see the levels of progression. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, you know what I'm saying? We did this, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's also a lot of these women are really, really superficial. really, really superficial, and they're very uneducated. The ones that I run into listening to the different shows or whatever. I mean, there's another podcast, don't remember the name. It's 3 women on there, and they call themselves, you know, like city girls type mindsets. And, you know, that's all they shop for is the bag. You know, my man better not have a 9-to-5 job. I just need the bag. And what does that mean, the bag? I mean, we know that, yes, money's fun, traveling is fun, but once all that goes, what's next? You know what I'm saying? Then you find yourself in this cycle. So let's go ahead to the next. Jasmine says, I think in general, if a spouse cheats, that's done. Everyone goes through stuff, but there is no reason to cheat. You think you either talk it through or you leave. Alistair, that's not your place. Your husband's on the front line. If he needs help, that's something else. I think that's the comment for what was going on. And I've had the conversation with you before, Alistair. And no, and to be honest with you, in the early part of our relationship, it used to be a really, really big conversation that we had. There was one time my husband was getting into a debacle with an individual, and I'm right there ready to swing. And he was like, you know, and that was the last time I did that. And I understand why he said that, because I don't want to have to worry about, if I'm shooting a fair one, I have to worry about you now. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's like, I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it. Even though I want to, I still know the role. I'll say the role. I don't want to use the word place. I know the role.
The audience, guys, Alistair is my husband.
Remember, guys, if you're on here, please like, subscribe, and share if you haven't done that yet. Thank you.
But no, I was saying though, the audience doesn't know that Alistair is my husband, right? And like I led the conversation with, right? And so him saying that's not your place doesn't offend me, because I know for a fact that he has his place. And I would not expect him to let me down by not maintaining his place. I will not let him down by not keeping mine, right? And again, one place is not more important than the other. Let's make no mistake. But he has a role. Every relationship that I've ever seen, even your homosexual, anything heterosexual, marriage, dating, anything, there is a masculine role and a feminine role. Now, to be fair, the woman doesn't have to play the feminine role. In some households, it's reversed, right? I mean, I've seen men that are doing more of the things that are inclined to be feminine and vice versa. But at the end of the day, the balance is only going to work if it's masculine and feminine, because there are roles that need to be played. In nature, the lioness hunts and the man protects and defends, right? Now, if the man is out there hunting with the woman, who's protecting and defending? Like, how does that work? It doesn't make any sense, right? Everybody can't do everything, or should not do. Can we? Yes. Should we? No. That's a fact.
And what to add to what it is, and I have to make that clear, it is something that you have to literally, if you were raised a certain way, if you were brought up in a certain environment, you have to change your mindset so that there will be harmony per se in the household. I have to put a story out there. I will not use any names, but the story is a very quick story. I won't even say the exact location, because if I use too many details, you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. So I was at this one, I was young, and I was in this one environment where this person seen me and was like, hey, it was a girl. And she was like, hey, I always see you and you be giving me looks or whatever. And I'm saying the same thing to her. Like, every time I see you, give me some type of dirty look. And so my friend walks over to me and she's like, isn't that the same person that you'll light up a cigarette every time they at in the club? Just so if they walk past you, you would burn their arm. And I'm like, yeah. So we're laughing or whatever. I just don't like nobody in my, just listen. So she's like, you know, she has her friends. I have my one friend, but she has like 3 or 4 friends. And she's like, yeah, we about to jump her, blah, blah, blah. And so she ends up said, you know what? I got something better for her ass. And she goes and tells her big brother. I didn't know at the time this was her brother, but it was some guy. So the guy runs up on me. I have my infant at the time, which is my son. So this is an old story because he's in his 20s now. But I pushed the baby behind me. He's in the car seat. And the dude comes in my face and he's like, oh, I'm going to beat your ass. This is it, blah, blah, blah. And he's, you know, he has his finger in my hand. And so the person that I'm dating at the time, he's like, yeah, you don't do that. We're going to take it outside. but outside had to be about 700 meters, like far, like yards away. Like, wait a second. So I took myself, and at that time I made a masculine decision, and I decided to snuff the dude right there where he ended up putting his finger in my face. Yes.
Had the baby
with the child, but
Yeah.
She was
But
young.
He was young. I said the baby. My oldest son is in his 20s. That's a long time ago. But I decided to make that decision because I just didn't logically understand, well, why would my boyfriend at the time want to leave that environment to go fight him? The disrespect was done there. That's exactly where it needs to be solved. And I didn't understand the reason why I'm telling the story, because I didn't mentally understand the importance of everything. Of course, no one should be fighting around the infant. Of course, no one should be doing this, and we can sit and dissect it. But I just wanted to tell the story about just the levels of where we are. I did not understand about that place and that role. I felt that if the disrespect was done on point A, why are we going to point F to go fight it out? My man at the time is too slow. I need to act like the alpha or the man or in the relationship, and I need to throw the first blow, and I need to fight this guy. And that is the reason why I think a lot of people or a lot of young women just are in the situations they are, because we just don't know. I mean, like I said, now I'm not doing those things and I'm not making those moves, but you can clearly see there's a lot of things there that Alice would be like, you should never have hit the guy. You should have never did this.
yeah, we could break that whole story down.
You know what? And
I share my
point. Go ahead.
stories. You guys don't.
You know what? I'll share one and I'll tie it in, right? So I was in a previous relationship. Oh Lord, I done seen something. But I was in a previous relationship. And because again, I am the woman behind the man in that particular relationship. And like Kia, I won't give too many details because you'll figure it out kind of like that, right? But there was somebody coming around with some investment idea, right? And the person I was with at the time was totally in on it, right? Me being who I was just like, nah, we're gonna sit that one out. Let the other people have it. Oh my gosh, by the time you want to get in, we'll be all right. So he brings this other person who's the role model, who's the multi-millionaire, giving him this advice on investing, to come and sit and talk to me and have dinner in my home. Right? And this guy, he's trying to explain everything. And I said to him very politely, this is the opposite of the Kia story, right? I said to him very politely, you know what? We really appreciate you considering us, but we're going to pass on this opportunity. This man dismissed me completely because it was one of those people, you know what I mean? Just, dismissed me completely and looks at my partner at the time and says to him, she's a real anchor. You could really take off without her, but she's a real anchor. And I said to him, as I held the door open because he could leave my house, right? I said, any good captain knows you never set sail without your anchor. Be gone. Right? So now the purpose of this story as it compares to, his story is, right? The protector and defender, which is the masculine role in most cases, was the one that was going to think the long game, right? And so we got to get this away from the kid. We got to get outside. If anything pops up, I want to make sure women and kids are safe and this, that, and the third, right? She wasn't wired to think that way because she's not the protector and the defender. That's his role, right? She's wired to think like a woman thinks. And to be fair, we are emotional. We're the smart ones, right? We're the brains and they're the brawn. And a lot of people won't like that either, but that's the facts, right? I'm going to look at the house and I'm going to figure out where I want the walls and how to make it feel good. But it is the man that's going to build the house, right? A man will put up 4 walls on a roof and say, everybody at it. And you're like, well, if what we doing, the kids can see, there's no bathroom, what's good, right? We think about the shit, they do it, right? And that's how that works. So in that instance, Kia reacted because that's what emotion will do. That's the feminine role. We need those emotions. That's the balance that makes the whole thing work. The man is going to say, all right, let's take this outside. He might have handled his business. We'll never know, but he might have handled his business. But that's the security, the protector, the defender, right? We are the ones that are emotional. We're thinking, we're reacting, we're responding to the situation. Now, in my situation, in my opinion, the person I was with should have come to my defense, right? Now, I didn't pop off and snuff the dude or this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, the whole reason I was there was because I was defending my home. He wasn't going to come clean out my account. The reason he's a multimillionaire is on people like us, right? And the provider was looking at an opportunity for us to make more money, right? The instinct in me as a woman was saying, this is not the opportunity, right? So there's the provider and there's the instinct. He needed me to balance him out in that instance, right? And in Kia's case, she needed him to balance her out. That's how you keep things functional. I mean, that's just what it is. Oh, Lord.
I'm sorry.
It's so funny. No. It's so funny that she says that in reference to needing the balance, because I am a very emotional person and I'm real quick. Anybody who knows me personally know I'm real quick to jump off the ledge. And my husband currently will do that. And definitely, like I said, in earlier times in our relationship, that was an argument. I literally want to play the same role that he's playing. And he's looking at me like, wait, what's happening here? And that was such a struggle. It was a power struggle for me. I wasn't raised that way. I'm raised to do it on my own. And this is it. And you don't know nothing. You don't know more than me. I'm smarter than you. These are my kids. At that time, my 2 kids, and you're outside the bubble. Yeah, you could come around sometimes. You even married to me, and we got this. But I did not know how to release that and say, hey, no, you are the head, and then I follow. That was so scary. It took me, and I put myself out there. I was with a group of ladies, and we went and changed our last names together. I won't say who I was with.
Liz.
To change our last names. That was so scary for me. So scary to lose the last name Valentine and to go to Nivens. I thought I was losing myself. That means I'm giving up all types of power. I mean, even though we would play around like, oh, well, Valentine's such a pretty name. Okay, just because it's a pretty name, I'm married now. Take on your husband's name. And to lose that like I said, it's all mental. And this is because of my background, the way I was raised, whatever the case may be. Let's go to the next comment.
We got a lot of comments.
Go ahead.
Okay, Cash, you got to have that confidence in your husband that he got it, that will give him the confidence he needs to get the job done. And that is so true. Again, we do become very aggressive and we think that we could say whatever, do whatever. And then we start to diminish that confidence within our men. It's our men. These are our kings. Yeah, build that confidence up. Absolutely. Alistair, why do we have to take it personally? That's the problem. Everyone's sensitive.
True.
It is true. Again, it's not always like about us personally. You have to think about the bigger picture. Daddy, at Valentine, what they say is a Black woman would go to your job and a white woman won't. They will not disrupt the money flow. How many women have you know?
100% true.
That will, yes, that is true.
That is 100% true. And I have a question for the Black women out there that will listen to the podcast in the future or know of somebody that, why is it that we do that? Why will we mess up the man's money flow? I don't understand that. Why are we cutting tires and setting cars on fire?
Because we, like Liz said, we are emotional. We don't sit back and think. When something happens, it's happening. It's listen. I am a widow. And I know I've said this before on the show, and my husband had been a very sick man. So I actually had to take on more of an alpha role in our household because he was sick a lot. But my dumb ass, we would get into arguments. I'm slashing tires, cutting up clothes, breaking PlayStations. And guess what? I had to turn around and buy them all over again. So I didn't just take money out of his pocket. I took money out of
your own.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that, like I said, education is key. I was not taught the decorum behind breakups or emotional trauma within a relationship. And I'm not saying that it's something that you're teaching myself, maybe my sisterhood, maybe your parents, but I just didn't know it. Your man messed up. What you doing? Oh, you think you so fine. You think you this and this. I'm going to the job. You can't. Oh no. And you put the kids in the car. I'm telling you, I'm not doing this stuff now, people. I am changed. I'm a changed woman. I used to be
convinced enough for
ratchet as hell with my little ones. And I love to tell my testimonial because my testimonial could be somebody else's breakthrough. I was that woman going up to somebody's job. I remember a lot of times my baby father's mother would say, she's not good for you. She was telling her son that she is not good for you. And I'm looking like, I can't believe this woman done said this about me. No, I am toxic as hell. I'm not good for him. Forget about the fact that he was doing his thing and stuff. That's a whole other conversation, a whole other show. I'm talking about the stuff that I, as a Black woman, was doing to him just because I had no idea. I'm ratchet as hell. Who drives up to somebody's job slashing? Who does this? An emotional, unbalanced individual. Like my uncle said, you won't catch a white woman unless she's kind of disturbed. I know the one woman from Florida, she had drove with the pamper on. She do a little different thing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Alistair says, I think Black women have a level of resentment towards Black men for not being present due to broken families beyond their own control. I think that's true, but at the same time, I think Black men need to hold Black men accountable. I know so many ratchet Black men that will literally know that they don't talk to their kids, know that they doing all types of stuff, ain't sitting not one day's worth of child support, and you will sit at the barbecue with them. Now, I'm not telling you to get in anybody's business, but you got to hold accountable to that brother. When he's like, hey, well, we all going to the club. Well, I want to come too. Nah, nigga, not until you take care of them kids. I mean, why, in my mindset, if you're a true friend, why would you associate with somebody who you know is a sleazeball? Got like about 10, 15 kids, ain't seen not one of them. Why would you know this? Why would you want to hang out with that type of individual? That question to me.
But to the point that Alistair's trying to make, right? It's okay. So imagine that you have a woman now that has a child for a man now, and this man wants to be. How many of us know a Black man that wants to be a father to their child, and what they have is a baby mama that's mad at every man ever, every Black man ever is going to sit there and not let them be a part of that kid's life, not child support, no child support, whatever. It's going to constantly be, you're not shit, you don't run nothing here, you're just a baby daddy, you're a sperm donor. If I hear that word sperm donor one more time to a man that's trying to be a father, I'm gonna lose all of it.
We have made it so hard. We've made it very hard for Black men to be fathers to their kids by the way that they act, and unfortunately, it's the kids that suffer because they lose that other parent, while the woman is upset because the man doesn't want to be with them. Well, look what the hell you do.
I think they get mashed in. I think you have I know some good guys and they want to be with their families and they, the kids, and they, like, hey, what do I need to do? How do I get around that toxic woman? You know what I'm saying? To get to the babies, but they get mashed in with the bad guys as well. And unfortunately, when you have the child support system that gets involved and all these things, the system puts them all together in one, and they all
let the courts get involved, because regardless of what happens, the courts most likely will always go in favor of the mother, and even if the mother is toxic and is not.
But I do believe there is a level of resentment towards Black men, like Alistair said. You can, just in a person's conversation, how they speak upon an individual. They may not be consciously aware, but definitely subconsciously.
I'm sorry, I'm reading these other comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Humble Lion, the hurt of the Black woman goes all the way back to slavery. It's DNA based. When that Black man could not protect her from being raped from their oppressor, she indirectly takes that out on her man.
I have heard of some actual true scientific DNA saying that trauma.
It's post-traumatic slave disorder. That's like something that we go through. But then again, you also have to think about the Black man that had to watch his wife being raped and couldn't do anything because he might have lost his life or she might have lost it. It's true.
Or we could talk about how there was a lot of Black men there's a lot of buck breaking back there. And Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Slave ships, yeah, that was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Alistair, I think that Black women have a level of resentment towards Black men due to the systematic issues beyond our control. Black men weren't around due to one systematic racism by removing the men.
Yeah, that's what you just said. Go ahead.
Yeah. The feminist movement was toxic to our families. White women wanted Black women to join, but the realities weren't the same. How can a Black woman stand up to a man who was already knocked down?
Yeah.
Is it okay to become estranged from family, especially your mother, if they continue to disrespect and disregard your feelings?
I would say it's hard.
That's the whole thing right there. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's definitely hard. I would say it's hard because, we're definitely really quick. If it was a stranger in the street that disrespected you or doing some type of flagrant business to you, we could just get rid of them real quick. Maybe it's an employee, but if it's a mother/father that may be doing something or disrespecting or in hindrance of some sort, it is definitely hard because we have that bond and that attachment. So,
I mean, well, I'm gonna take that a step further, right? It's so if it's your mother that's disrespecting and disregarding your feelings, I think it was it a couple episodes back that we were talking about it, right? I know that for example, I have daughters, right? I have all girls, and I'm very, very hard on them because I expect life to be real, right? And so me sitting here and saying to you, for example, that if you get a series of just no, if you get yes all through, right? Because I've done everything I could to facilitate, and I'm talking as a mother, to facilitate your life, and then you come back with a no, you know what I mean? And you fall apart, that's on me as a mother. So for me to say, for example, you need to get it together and woman up, right? Because that's kind of the topic that we're talking about tonight. So if you woman up, then you saying that, I'm disrespecting and disregarding your feelings and should be estranged. Well, then go estrange yourself, because as a mother, all I can do is what I feel is best for my child. Right. So, I mean, if that's what it takes, then that's what it is. You will learn your lessons the way everybody else has. But this idea that, women are subservient because we have a role to play, it doesn't make sense to me. So going with, especially your mother, I don't know. That's a weird one.
I would say that's a whole nother conversation to be had on the podcast. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it was funny. I went to this one little networking event, and they were talking about, stop talking about daddy issues and let's talk about mother issues, because a lot of women, oh wait, no, but a lot of kids, you grow up in the household, the daddy's not even there. So yes, there is a level of something there because the father wasn't there, or he was a Rolling Stone or whatever have you. But we dealt with that mother 24/7, 7 days of the week.
Competition with their daughters.
All types of scenarios. So, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast to be had. We're going to have the Kleenex. We're going to be like, mommy, why? Why, mommy, why?
Why, mommy?
Jasmine says there is no high value.
Oh, Jesus.
High value.
I hear that. Go Jazz.
I said that to say that white men were the ones with all the power. They are making the laws that we're oppressing everyone. Then the laugh, of course. All right. I disagree with his assertion for what men should be looking for in a woman. Okay. No, they are culturally taught nowadays to be like that. I don't know what.
We've had so many comments.
Yeah.
Now what goes to wait.
Yes, Liz, go off. God forbid someone a stripper, but Kim K can suck someone's pee-pee and it's okay. That is really, yeah. It's that culture.
I mean, another thing I'm going to toss out there, because we're, on the subject, right, is we always talk about, being an independent woman. I'm an independent woman looking for a husband. That makes no sense. That's like, saying I can't wait to be the most powerful single woman in a marriage. Like, that's an oxymoron. Like, I mean, that makes absolutely no sense, right? You don't lose your sense of self, but the idea independent, if you break down the words, means separate and apart from somebody, right? And so I can stand alone. Why would you be a married single mother? Like, what is that? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, so and same thing goes for a man. If I was single and I was looking for a man, and all he talked about was how independent he is, well, clearly he don't need me. Then I'm gonna keep it moving. I mean, it should be.
We had a guest when we had the men come on the show. Just talk about their situations in reference to dating. One of the guys mentioned that he was finding it so hard to be like, okay, the woman's like, I'm so independent, I don't need no man, I don't need a man. Well, what the hell am I here for? Like, I know you say you wanted more, you want a relationship, you don't want just sex. So if you don't want just sex, why am I even here?
I know I need a man. I need a man to look, and it may sound not like that, guys, but
I don't know where
I am women that I do what I want whenever. I think for me, like, having a man is to make sure I do stay in a certain place, because I will get, beside myself. I'm not gonna lie. I do not always like being an alpha female. I do want to, and I know I might get hated for this word, but I do want to be submissive to my king. I really do. I do want to play that role. I do want to I don't always want to be the caretaker, that person who's always independent. I want to be that addition to the support system to our relationship.
So Cass says, with all that other stuff, when all the other stuff fades, this person is going to be the mother of your children. If you get disabled, will she change your pamper and nurse you?
That's a high value woman.
I've done it.
Right. That's a high value woman. Right.
I am his wife, and I say I will ride to you for the end of time. But it comes time to change Pampers, at least let me call the nurse hotline so they give direction on how to put the Depends on. That's all. They will step in. I don't know.
I've done it. I've not changed changed the pamper because he wasn't in the pamper, but I've done it. I've been that caretaker till death did us part. Yeah.
Amy says, a great woman supporting and standing beside her man will lift him up and give him the strength to create great things for his woman and children. His value is placed on his character and actions. Very, very, very true. And I think that if you have a man who is intellectual, then you are so, so blessed, because he could take that intellect and go anywhere and become anything that he puts his mind to.
Yeah. But wasn't that goes along with what Liz said? Like, if a man builds the house, the woman makes it a home. If he brings money home for the food, she cooks the meal.
Totally understand that. We got Z says, I think that the individuals that call into Kevin Samuels show believe that they're on the ones with the gift of gab and put him in his place. Yeah, they're not.
They are not.
They think they are.
Yeah.
They need to come. They need to call one of us, because I promise you.
But do they though? Because again, they're not calling in they're asking, why am I not getting a high valued man?
No, she was trying.
Right.
The girl on that show, she was trying.
Yeah. So now we're coming to the top, the funny jokes. Now that was getting close to the end. Damn Valentine's, but you were totally right. Fight where it started. See what I'm saying?
And see, this is the man who raised me. This is the man who.
But that's my uncle, so it must be in my DNA. If you hear me out, audience. If you disrespected me in point A, why do I gotta go to point F to fight? Now I understand. Now I'm older. I don't got time. I got these bills I gotta pay and these kids. No. But all jokes aside, I hate when people be like, meet me outside. No, nigga, you said that shit here. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Now, somebody says, Cash, your wife's a little aggressive, bro.
No, just a little lot bit. Just a little.
I do have to comment. I do have to comment and say I've been in situations like that where somebody got my face, not my woman's face, but my face in front of people and was like blah blah blah, and I generally handled most of that there. So I do understand that because I'm not one. We're not talking. We're not doing all that. So as soon as you break my space or your think anything like that,
see, Alistair, he's the aggressive. He said, "Let me."
Yeah. I've calmed down. I'm older now. I've calmed down.
And so then my husband, of course, says, "I'm a lion tamer."
Aww.
Okay. Tim, no, okay, wait. Okay. Mariana says, I do believe you and your partnership build a life in which if God forbid something happened to one of you, you should be able to independently continue to maintain your home and family. But a marriage is a partnership. It definitely is. It definitely is. And I love you, Mariana. I need a man to keep me balanced. I can't use so here's the thing, and I think that's so funny. I that comment there means a lot to me because I can say that based on where I am in my life, we grow. And at the point where I'm at now, I don't like to use the word I need a man. My man compliments me. We are a partnership. Of course, when you're connected in an individual, and you love each other and you're going through things, the man picked up and left, it could be hurtful. Oh my God, I'm so devastated. He was my friend. You're trying to figure out and put those pieces together. But where I'm at now and the level of maturity that I am today, my husband definitely is my partner. He likes to utilize the example of, a marriage is like a store. You got the front end and the back end, and sometimes you got to kind of switch the roles. And somebody's coming in managing the front part, and somebody got the stuff in the back, and that's definitely something there. But she says she needs a man to keep her balance, and that's exactly what we're gonna go with.
and for me, it's not like you're saying. It's not needing a man. It's I like the matching of the energies where we can complement each other. And I guess that's the way I'm really going to say it.
Mm-hmm. I need a man to keep me balanced. I don't always want to be the strong one or having to always have to figure out every single thing. I definitely understand that. Like a partner Mariana had mentioned, Liz had mentioned. And then Alistair, of course, says, Ty is hilarious. Yeah. No, but I want to say thank you guys. Like I said, I never had any plans on ever doing this show about this, but a lot of people were blowing me up and just telling me all different types of things on how they felt about this topic about staying in your place and all different types of things. I want to
Dad, what the hell are you talking about? Maya, did you misspell something? I need a man.
Jesus Lord.
Dad, get off the platform, Dad.
In life, a space partner come in handy. Yes, a good space partner. I want to wrap up just to say that I am very happy to know that I am in a beautiful partnership. I know that everybody here, if they are in a relationship or they're in a relationship or in a future relationship, they're looking for the same thing. I do know that majority of us that follow this show and this platform would never call into his show because we just don't value ourselves in that light. We are not those types of individuals. We don't talk about superficiality. Wow. We don't talk about superficiality like that. We are definitely individuals who seek knowledge and truth. So we look at his show as entertainment / man, we got to do better as a culture. And that's the only reason why I decided to do the show today on this topic, because we have to be able to see a sister, see a brother, and educate them a little bit better on his delivery and for her articulation, because it wasn't done at all. Because at the end of the day, this is a social media platform. And in the process of it being a social media platform, it's not just our culture that looks at it, it's everybody that looks at it. And you'll be very surprised who sits and watch these different shows and they're critiquing and like, so we have to be very, very vigilant in how we put stuff out there. But
wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait a minute. Guys, remember, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, please like, subscribe, share. If you haven't made it to our Facebook group, please tap in. As you can see, we like to have a lot of fun. We have our numbers are growing. We want to continue to grow. We also want to continue to grow on our YouTube page. So please continue to support us because of you, this is why we do what we do. And we love you guys so much. We do. We love you.
Do you have any last words, Liz and Specs?
So just tossing it out there, right? Like, don't let people berate you. Know your value exactly as much as you should know your place, right? On any team, if anybody's into sports, everybody has their position to play. No position works without the other, right? A baseball team of all pitchers is useless. So the pitcher is not the most important person on the team. You know what I mean? And so in whatever sport you like, that's what you could go with. So just that's about the video. Of course, I'm always going to plug the shirt. So today was not about the topic, but I don't know if you guys can see, it says I'm so Brooklyn with the King of the Hill on the shirt there. And so I mentioned to you guys last week, if you have any ideas or anything like that, I really love experimenting and playing. A few months back, somebody asked me to do some Biggie inspired shirts, and I did. And so that's just one idea of some of the things I could play around with. If you don't know, now you know. So grownhonestconcepts.com. Hit me up on Facebook directly if you have anything directly to say to me. You can always catch up with us on the Unfiltered page. Thank you so much for all the support. Thanks for watching the show. Like Ty always says, and Key always reminds us, and Specs too, like, subscribe, and share, right?
Thank you, Liz. What about you, Specs? You got anything to say? Oh, Lord.
What? No, just piggyback and just know your value. Sometimes somebody like that, like the women that call his show, sometimes we need to talk to, like, our sisters and brothers. And when you see them looking for fame like that, there's a hole there. So sometimes you want to engage them. Don't talk bad to them or bad about them. Just talk to them like, so what's going on? Why do you feel the need to do that? Because when somebody does that, when you're ready to be humiliated in public, there's a hole. So why are you doing this? So sometimes when we see that, it might be fun, but that person has a hole. So when you sometimes, like, you might meet that person, talk to them, or just ask them what's going on with you. Ask them an open-ended question, because there's pain there, and she's willing to have that done to her so she'd be famous. That's a hole. That's a spiritual hole. So sometimes you just want to, when you see that, be like, oh, what's going on? Just ask them and be there, So that's it.
Just a couple of updates. You guys who have won your gift cards and the shirts, they'll be coming out to you shortly. So you'll receive that in the mail. On June 19th is going to be Juneteenth. A lot of people have heard of, some people haven't heard about it, some people haven't, but definitely we'll be talking about that more and putting information on the Facebook page out there, so we can start really understanding our history and where we're coming from. But last but not least, June 17th, I gotta put myself out there. Yeah, my birthday, so I'm
happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the queen. Yes,
I made it to the age of 40. Thank you. Yes, I'm putting my age out there. I will be 40 years young. But yeah. But with that being said, thank you, everybody. Much love, and we will see you next Sunday. Bye.